What is up, everybody? We are back recapping every NFL team, all 32. As you know, we went through all 32 teams. They each got their own video. We talked about kind of their fantasy outlook and what we were expecting. And now we're here to kind of recap because a lot of the teams, especially the earlier ones in the alphabetical list, we covered before training camp started over a month ago in July. So for some teams, a lot has changed. Of course, some of the later teams like the Commanders and the Titans, we just talked about those guys about a week ago, so not a whole lot has changed. Dad, we are a week away. Lions open up the season against the Chiefs. Give me your final score prediction. By the way, the over/under on that game is like 59 points, which is insane. Usually, like 55 is like considered crazy high. 59 is insane. What's your predictions there? Lions,
Yeah,
Chiefs.
Lions. I don't know if a lot of people remember when Jared Goff was with the Rams. There was a Monday night. I think it was a Monday. Sorry, a Monday night game where, and this is when the Rams were good and they were going to the Super Bowl and their offense was good, and they played Patrick Mahomes on a Monday night game, and I think the score was like 51-49 or something like that. Obviously, that was about 5 years ago or some, at least. So I think, yeah. What'd you say over and under was?
Well, I'm checking now. That game, I think it was 105 points total between those teams. But anyways, I'm checking the over under now. I heard 59. That just seems a little ridiculous to me, though. So I'm checking. Oh, okay, I see on DraftKings 53 and a half. That makes more sense. 53 and a half.
I
Makes
do
more
the
sense.
over. So I just think we'll see. Now with the Chiefs, their best defensive player is not there. We'll see how
Yeah.
much of a difference that makes. The Lions. The Lions, we have to see. They not completely. They kind of redid their whole defensive backfield, and they got a rookie linebacker, and so defensively, I don't know. We'll see.
Mhm.
I'm banking as a Lions fan. I think the Lions are going to win, and I think the reason why is Kansas City still kind of maybe slightly in a Super Bowl hangover. I think Mahomes will have a good game and things like that. It'll be a high scoring game. You know, should be 31-28, 38-34. Those type things. Lions, the fifth best offense in the NFL. They got a whole new backfield. They're slightly a little. Their receiving core is good, is okay. Amon-Ra St. Brown, but so it appears the Chiefs. Some of their receivers, some of their featured receivers, other than Kelsey, is going to be one of them is going to be Sky Moore. It sounds like so. Sky Moore, and I don't know who. MVS.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, we'll get into that when we talk about the Chiefs. Yeah, I hope the Lions win. I'm not banking on it because I think, yeah, I know the Lions are kind of the darlings of this year along with the Jags, but you got to learn how to win. You're playing the best team in the NFL at their home stadium, which is always tough to play at. Coming off a Super Bowl, Super Bowl teams usually do. The winning teams usually do very well on those first opening games of the year, except for last year, the Rams. But so I don't know. We'll see. I hope they win, but I don't know. Chiefs at home, getting their rings or their banner or whatever. They're going to be hyped up. I don't think Andy Reid's going to let them be sleeping on the Lions. So, but we're going
No,
to get
I
into
don't.
it. We're just go ahead. Sorry.
No, I don't think so. Andy Reid. I don't know if just something about him. It's like when he comes off a bye week, he's got this wonderful record. So you could kind of
Mhm.
count this as a bye week. He's got a lot of time to prepare. That's what it
Yeah.
means. So he's not.
He's
Yeah, they're not sleeping on the Lions. Of course not.
27-4 after a bye. So
Yeah. Okay.
um, yeah, that's well, that's 31 years as a coach, 24 of them as a head coach. I don't know what his record as a head coach, but anyways, we'll get into going through each team, what's changed since we last talked about them. Starting with the Cardinals, alphabetical order, going by location, of course. The Cardinals, a lot of news with these guys, a lot of nuggets. We have Kyler Murray was put on the pup. I think we were kind of expecting that. I mean, there was back in July, there's maybe hope he could play, but Kyler Murray is going to miss the first 4 weeks. There's rumors of him not playing all year, and I just don't buy it at all. Like, from Kyler Murray's perspective, he's 25 years old. The guy wants to play. He doesn't want to lose his job. I know he still gets paid, but and then from the Cardinals' perspective, if they are tanking and trying to get the number 1 pick and trying to go after Caleb Williams, you can't have Kyler Murray's contract on your salary cap. With the whole idea of a rookie quarterback is to have a quarterback cheaply and you can build around him. Now, if you're paying Kyler all this money, and of course you could trade him, but if he's gonna sit out all year, that doesn't help his trade value. So it just doesn't really add up to me. Like if the Cardinals do want to kind of tank, go for the number 1 pick, but also trade Kyler, like they're gonna need to showcase him, and he's gonna need to play. So I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts on that are, Dad. Before we get into the quarterback battle, thoughts on Kyler Murray? Do you think he plays this year?
Yeah, I think he plays this year. I know pup list means you can't do nothing for 4 weeks, and so we'll see. He got hurt later in the season. I'm sure he's heard all and I do think the Cardinals are tanking, by the way. Of course. So, but Kyler Murray has to play. They're not going to just cut him. They will try to trade him if they get the number 1 draft pick and stuff like that. So, and they should, if that's what they want. And, we're going to start, obviously, at some point, start hearing stories, where should Kyler Murray end up at? So that's probably what's going to happen. So,
yeah, and that goes back to my point of, like, if you're going to trade him sitting out all year is going to make it harder for you to trade him. They need to show that he can, that he's healthy or something. So I don't buy it that he's going to sit out. Maybe they are tanking, maybe not. When we recorded this, we kind of we were saying there's going to be Colt McCoy or Clayton Tune to be the starting quarterback. Now it's Joshua Dobbs, who they traded for, who was on the Browns, and Clayton Tune. It's one of those guys. They're keeping it a secret for a competitive advantage, I guess. Man, I hope it's Clayton Tune just to see a rookie and something new. I don't think Clayton Tune's going to be very successful necessarily, but there's always that chance. I kind of probably lean Joshua Dobbs, though, if I'm being completely honest. Yeah, and neither one are very exciting. Joshua Dobbs has started 2 games in his career. And basically he's averaged about like 200 yards and a touchdown and an interception those games. So nothing super exciting. Dad, any lean here? Is it Dobbs? Is it Clayton Tune?
Well, it seems like it has to be Dobbs, I mean, the only thing is, he spent all a training camp in Cleveland. So, but yeah. I think this is a guy he's been on multiple teams, and, so nothing, a fantasy value. I don't know, where you're going to go with that. To me, there's only one person on this team that's worth anything fantasy wise. So,
yeah. I don't know. It does make me. I was okay with Marquise Brown when I thought it was going to be Colt McCoy, because I thought, okay, Colt McCoy can throw for 215 yards and a touchdown, right? And can Marquise Brown get 6 for 60 each week, like average that, and then you stat that out, that's like 100 catches and 1,000 yards. It's nothing winning you your leagues, but if you're in a PPR league, it's a solid floor of 12 points a game. And now I'm looking at it with either Clayton Tune or Joshua Dobbs. I don't know if these guys can throw for 200 yards a game. I'm not convinced. So,
Yeah.
man, it knocks down all their pass catchers for me a bit. And yeah, I mean, I think if you're in a dynasty league, you need to pick up Clayton Tune because he's a young quarterback who may get a chance. And look at like Brock Purdy last year in our dynasty league. No one put a bid for him when he became the starter. I put a bid on him, got him, ended up trading him for a first round pick. So it's like there's that value of Superflex and Superflex. These always snatch up young quarterbacks that are kind of debuting. And then yeah, not much else has changed here. I mean, James Conner trades were floated around to Dallas. We'll see. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised a few weeks in if they do trade him because they are tanking. Zach Ertz is not going to be on the PUP or the IR to start the season, I'm pretty sure. Definitely not the PUP, but maybe he's there. Yeah, I mean, nothing else really to talk about that's really changed. Michael Wilson, I know he's considered. They're putting Marquise Brown, Rondale Moore, and Greg Dortch as their top three receivers, but Michael Wilson kind of brings something, the rookie out of Stanford. He brings something that those guys don't have, which is size. So I can see him kind of taking over as one of the starting spots. Yeah, Dad, anything else on the Cardinals that you've heard of that's changed?
No, not really.
Okay. If you want to know fantasy stuff, guys, like go back and listen to it. We give our thoughts on, like a James Conner, Marquise Brown, and stuff like that. So this is more of just kind of going over like what's changed. We're not really getting into each player, but we'll move on to the Falcons, or else we'll be here for 4 hours. Move on to the Falcons. Not much here has changed with the Falcons, I'd say. When the first depth charts came out, Bijan was the RB3 and everyone was freaking out. Well, he's the RB1 now on the depth chart as I'm seeing it. So kind of figured that was going to happen. He looks pretty awesome. The wide receiver core is pretty tough. Matt Collins and Scotty Miller are your wide receivers 2 and 3. Dad, did you? I don't think I heard really much change with the Falcons. I mean, we knew Ritter was going to get his chance at the starter, and anything that you know of?
Nothing, not really.
Falcons?
Just run heavy team. That's what it's going to be. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it sounds like, even with Bijan there, like Tyler Algier could still get 170 to 190 carries. You think 170 carries is only 10 carries a game? Like, could he run it 12 times a game? I could see that.
Absolutely.
So, he averaged what he averaged last year at 4.9 yards a carry. Even if he gets 180 carries, it's still almost 900 yards rushing. Who knows about touchdowns? There's the value that Bijan goes down. So, not much has changed with the Falcons. So we'll just kind of move on from there. Buffalo Bills, another team Baltimore Ravens is next. Baltimore Ravens. The only couple things I took note of is Mark Andrews kind of has like an undisclosed injury that kind of popped up, I don't know, maybe a week ago. I don't know if they've kind of come out and said anything about him, but so there's that to kind of keep an eye on. If you do, because Mark Andrews is going second, third round in fantasy drafts. So something to keep an eye on. He could possibly miss. Yeah, they still haven't disclosed the injury, but he didn't practice on Wednesday. It looks like they're being extra cautious with their tight end. The injury appears to be minor, so just keep an eye on that. And then Keaton Mitchell, he made the team, undrafted guy. He did make the team. I think he has an injury or something, but intrigued by Keaton Mitchell because I think he could be better than Gus Edwards or Justice Hill, who are considered the running backs 2 and 3. So, got anything on the any Ravens stuff? Zay Flowers has looked pretty good.
Well, yeah, that's what I was just going to say. Preseason, Zay Flowers definitely looked like a first-round draft pick. So something to pay attention there. The team should be loaded. They should be, they should be very good. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, Rashad Bateman's kind of been recovering from the Liz Frank injury that he had, and I don't know how much practicing he's done. I'm looking here 3 days ago. He didn't practice on Monday, so I don't know how much actual practice he got done during the preseason or if he even played in the preseason games. But yeah, Zay Flowers looks good. He could be their best receiver. I mean, obviously Andrews is the best pass catcher, but just Zay Flowers looks like the real deal there. Buffalo Bills. I don't know if when we recorded this, if Naheem Hines was out or not, but that happened very early on with the kind of freak accident on a what was it, a
jet ski.
On a jet ski, yeah, and he's done for the year, I think. They haven't put him on IR yet, but
they put him on. Yeah, it's because supposedly a jet ski hit him, and they put him on the non-football injury list.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not going to be, which means they don't have to pay him and all that shit. So we probably won't hear anything about him.
Yeah. But yeah, only notes I have here. The wide receiver 3, I think, is still kind of up in the air. Like if you look at ESPN depth chart, they put the second-year player Khalil Shakir as the wide receiver 3. I actually think it's going to be Deontay Hardy, who is kind of a burner, and he was on the Saints for a while there. He is a burner type of player. He's intriguing, for like best ball or DFS play stuff. Like he could just be one of those that's running down the field, and he could catch a couple bombs here and there from Josh Allen. So that's kind of the only big note I have about them. I do want to mention that James, I worked one of the Buffalo games. I think it was their last game, and the James Cook, Damian Harris kind of usage. It was like James Cook was the guy basically all the way down. He got a couple carries. I think he had a catch or two on like that first drive. Drove it all the way down to the goal line. Damian Harris came in, scored the touchdown. So I can see a lot of that. Me and Brian, my brother, talked about, who could be this year's Jamal Williams, where they're kind of considered the RB2 on the team, but they put up a top 15 season, mostly due to their touchdowns. And that was kind of without an injury to the main guy. I know Swift did get hurt here and there, but and Damian Harris was kind of my guy, him or Latavius Murray, whoever's going to play that role, because they're on a really good offense. James Cook is not a goal line back. I can see Damian Harris or Latavius Murray, if one of whoever's the starter there, getting double-digit touchdowns very easily. So keep that in mind. And then Dalton Kincaid, 18 snaps as a tight end, 17 in the slot, 14 out wide. So he was 21 snaps as like a wide receiver in the slot or out wide, 8 to 18 in line. Dawson Knox was almost all in line. So just a note there. Anything else you heard about the Bills, Dad?
No, I think they're hearing the sounds from everybody saying, they're not going to do nothing this year. Their time has passed. So let's see if they play with a little chip on their shoulder.
Yep. Moving on to the Panthers. I don't know, again, when we recorded this, if Bryce Young was officially the starter, but he is the starter going into the season, which is good to see. This team could be pretty bad, rookie quarterback. It just could be some growing pains for sure. We'll see. But Bryce Young's the starter. Miles Sanders is kind of like missed a lot of time with a groin injury. I think he's back. I think he came back like a few days ago or earlier this week maybe, which is good. But he did miss most of training camp, basically. He didn't play in any preseason games due to a groin injury. So keep an eye on that. This team did nothing. They didn't bring in anyone. It's Miles Sanders, Chuba Hubbard, Raheem Blackshear. So it's kind of Miles Sanders' backfield, in my opinion. So yeah, keep note on that. A couple injuries to the receivers. DJ Shark, a hamstring injury, which is you never want to see. Hamstrings. Look at Keenan Allen last year; they could keep you out for half a year. They can be if they're serious. So keep that in mind. I kind of like DJ Shark as like maybe the best receiver on this team, but not if he's going to have a hamstring injury. Harris Marshall also has an injury, a back injury, I think. So it kind of makes it a little bit more clear. I think it's the Adam Thielen and Jonathan Mingo are one of the two. If you want to target a receiver on this team, those are the guys to target, in my opinion. Anything on the Panthers that I missed there, Dad? Do you want to target maybe Thielen or Mingo, one of those guys? Do you have a preference?
Yeah, not really. I guess I'd like to try to ignore those guys, but somebody's going to catch the ball, like you've identified. It only takes catching 5 or 6 passes a game for, 15 to 17 games. Next thing you know, you got 80 or 90 receptions, so it's gonna be somebody.
Yeah, and in their last preseason game, Thielen had a drive where he looked good. I think he had like 5 catches for like 70 yards, and he caught a touchdown in their last preseason game. And Thielen, for what it's worth, has been a pretty big touchdown guy in his career. I mean, from 2018 to 2020, Adam Thielen had 45 touchdowns in a 5-year span. So that's legitimate stuff. That's over 9, or is that 9 a game? Just about 9 a game, 8 a game, 8.5. So yeah, I mean, I could see him. I think we talked about this, but yeah, he could have like a 70 catch, 800 yard, 10 touchdown year, and he's relevant. So I think it's definitely one of those two, Mingo or Thielen, you want to target. Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears, I guess the biggest thing here is it seems like it's going to be Herbert's backfield, at least to start the season. I still don't know how confident I am in him being either like the bell cow or, him not being taken over by someone else. I think D'Onta Foreman is possibly the number 2. Herbert didn't play in their game, in their last preseason game with the starters, Justin Fields and DJ Moore. All those guys played, and Foreman was the starter over Roschon. But Foreman is dealing with a little injury. Roschon looks really good. So I don't know. This backfield, I think, is a little bit more clear. I still think Herbert probably deserves to be the RB1 taken, but I wouldn't be surprised if like Foreman or Roschon kind of takes over. I definitely think you should take one of these. Dad, anything here with the running backs?
No, it's just kind of the 3 guys are decent running backs. I seen Herbert in the preseason in a game, and he looked good. You don't know who's going to be. You don't know who's going to be the man 1, the man 2, and then we eventually, when the weather turns shitty in Chicago, they could be a run heavy team. Roschon Johnson looks really good. So, he looks okay for a rookie, but, D'Onta Foreman, that guy is there's a guy that, I don't know, he's done well on the previous 2 teams he was on.
Yeah.
He was on the Panthers and he was on the Titans. So he just had some injury problems early in his career. So, but anyway, so enough of that. The Bears hopefully should be better, and they could shock everybody this year.
Yeah. D'Onta Foreman was kind of a highly touted. He was 3rd rounder, but a lot of people liked him as a prospect. Tore his Achilles. Took basically 4 years to recover from it. Took over for Henry in 2021. Looked good. Took over for McCaffrey when he was traded. Looked good. And when you watch him play, it's just like that guy gets the ball and he just smashes it up the middle. And like he's a no nonsense type of guy. And NFL coaches love those players. So still kind of a muddy backfield here. I'd probably take my chance on like a Roschon or D'Onta Foreman, but Chase Claypool kind of dealing with a hamstring injury, I believe, since early August. I don't think he's been practicing. So, no one was really taking Chase Claypool anyways, but just keep that in mind. And then the backup quarterback, Tyson Bagent, I think it is, a rookie. Yeah. He looked really good in preseason. I worked a couple of the games. He looked really good in preseason. He played at Shepherd, the college.
I heard a ridiculous stat about him.
Mm-hmm.
That he, in his college career, he threw for over 150 touchdowns.
Yeah. So 160 almost. So 159.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. Yeah, that's a
17,000 yards. Yeah. Yeah, he's he looked good though, I will say. And I was surprised because I thought for sure PJ Walker, who's the other guy there, they were going to keep, and they didn't. And yeah, I think Tyson Bagent, the fact that he's a rookie and they're putting him as the QB2. I think Nathan Peterman is probably still on the practice squad. So if Fields does get hurt, maybe they go with the veteran. But yeah, I think he's a deep dynasty stash is Tyson Bagent, because what if Fields get hurt? But yeah, moving on to the Bengals. Not really much to talk about here. I think, we had the Burrow injury, but I think he just returned to practice a few days ago. So just keep an eye on that. Maybe he misses week 1. I don't know. And then like Chase Brown, I think is going to be the RB2 behind Mixon. They talked about Chris Evans possibly being that, but I think if Mixon did get hurt, you would see more Chase Brown as the run between the tackle guy, 5th round draft pick. And then the Princeton wide receiver, who I believe was drafted and has a lot of talent. The guy's like big and tall, can run a 4.3. I think it's Yoshibas is how you pronounce it. He made the team, which was cool to see. He's a deep dynasty stash, in my opinion, because he has a lot of talent.
Charlie Jones,
a
rookie. He was drafted, I don't know, 3rd, 4th round. Caught a lot of passes at Purdue. So he's another, Tyler Boyd, I think this is his last contract year. But anyway, we'll talk about that stuff later. Just somebody else to look at.
Yeah, definitely. I just kind of figured Charlie Jones was probably on a lot of people's dynasty rosters because, 4th round pick on the Bengals. I think he replaces Boyd. Yoshibas probably is maybe on your waiver wire. So I would pick him up and stash him, taxi squad him if you can. So, but moving along to the Browns, not a whole lot to talk about with the Browns here besides Dorian Thompson-Robinson, DTR, looks awesome. Like, he's fun to watch. And I believe he is their QB2. They also signed or traded for PJ Walker, who we talked about on the Bears. I think he's on their practice squad. So again, if Watson gets hurt, I imagine they go with the veteran in Walker. But DTR is fun to watch. I think he should be definitely stashed. Dad, did you watch any DTR games or highlights?
I did, and I did because he was a West Coast guy. I did see a lot of them at UCLA, and he played there for a number of years. So it was just what I seen him do in the preseason was just a continuation of what he was doing in college. So, the guy's an athletic quarterback, and he can throw the ball, and hopefully you like to see guys like that, then you wonder, is he ever going to get a shot in the NFL? So hopefully.
Yeah.
A starting.
Yeah. No, he's definitely fun for sure. So I would throw him on your dynasty. Again, deep rosters, super flex. Throw him on there. Only other note here is they did trade for Pierre Strong at running back, which is important, I think, because we were kind of going in. Obviously, it's Nick Chubb's backfield, and then we thought, okay, Jerome Ford, here we go. He's the RB2, no question. He's going to get some run, and now Pierre Strong's there. So something to like. And I don't know exactly what they traded for him. I'll look that up right now. But yeah, that's something to keep an eye on in terms of the RB2 on that team. Yeah, I don't know exactly what they traded for him. I can't imagine it was much, but they still made it a point to trade for him. And Pierre Strong was, he was a guy probably going in dynasty rookie drafts. He was a round 4 pick in 2022, so it's not like he was just a nobody. But yeah, keep that in mind. Anything else on the Browns, Dad?
Yeah, not really.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see how they look, because they had some times where they looked good in preseason, and other times you're like, ugh, this looks bad. So, okay, on to the Cowboys. Big thing, they traded for Trey Lance, a 4th round pick. I don't really know what to think of it. I mean, Dad, on dynasty rosters, obviously you spend probably a very high pick either in a startup, if you did it last year, or in a rookie draft when Trey Lance was a rookie. You probably invested a lot in him. Are you just kind of holding in right now and just hoping something happens later in a year or two, or maybe he gets a run if Prescott gets hurt? Or are you just dropping him? I mean, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm just ignoring him. So
I mean, if you invested let's say a rookie draft pick, a first round rookie draft pick, like, and you still have him on your team, you're not just dropping him, right? Like,
well, no, if you got a spot for him, then I think you should keep him. And it's, the Trey Lance story is still TBD.
yeah,
The guy really hasn't had a great opportunity to play and stuff like that. And when he hasn't looked marvelous. So, is he replacing Dak Prescott? Hell no, he ain't replacing Dak Prescott. So, I heard
yeah,
that Jerry Jones was the one that did that. Didn't even ask. Didn't was the one who made the trade. And there was other teams that were going to give draft picks up, but
yeah.
nobody. Yeah, but nobody was going to do a fourth rounder. So they didn't even ask the coaching staff or anything like that. So it's just one of those things, that Dallas typically does, and the owner did it. So nothing to see here. Move on.
And his comments on Trey Lance were funny. He basically said like, "We don't want him to play this year." Essentially, like, I kind of get it. Like, I think he was trying to like give Dak like, you're our guy. We don't want you to get hurt, type of thing. But it was just kind of funny, kind of unnecessary stuff. But yeah, I mean, you got to hold. If you can get something for him, if you can get a third round rookie pick, I would trade him. But he's kind of a hold for now. Rico Dowdle is the RB2 on this team as of now. Deuce Vaughn looked really good in preseason. He's fun to watch. He looked good in college as well, but he's a very small guy. Kind of reminds you of Darren Sproles, and they both went to Kansas State. And so I just don't think he can take on a huge workload, but he could, be a 10-touch guy that maybe if he's hyper efficient. I think here's a really good lesson for people in dynasty football about always trying to trade guys, especially guys that are getting hype. Malik Davis, when I think after the NFL draft, people were started to talk about Malik Davis as potentially the RB2 on this team. And you probably could have traded Malik Davis for a third or even a fourth round rookie draft pick. Just kind of building up, playing on that hype. Malik Davis was cut by this team, and they kept. I think he might be on their practice squad, but he was cut, and they kept Ronald Jones, who's suspended for like 2 or 3 games over him. So that's kind of what they think about Malik Davis. Just a lesson, when you hear hype pieces about guys like a Malik Davis, just these guys that are just that are Jags. See what you can get for him. But Rico Dowdle, Dad, he has to be rostered, I would say, right? I mean,
No.
RB2 for the no.
In a redraft league,
I mean, redraft.
I
mean,
guess.
we can
I guess.
redraft.
Okay, let me back up and I guess as a running back too on the Dallas Cowboys, who said they're going to run more. That's what they said. Even though they ran a lot last year, they weren't a pass heavy team. So yeah, this guy's probably going to be carrying the ball. We know Zeke and Pollard, they kind of, it was kind of sharing the load there. So the same thing's going to happen, then yeah, you're right. He might.
Yeah, that's. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, yeah, you're right. This guy's probably should get a look, or you should think about it. So
Yeah, it's just a late round pick. Like, we don't know. We assume Pollard is the workhorse guy, but they could just use Pollard again like they used him last year, which would be fine, which would still make Pollard very valuable. He was like the RB7 last year or 8, even though he was kind of the 1B in terms of touches on that team. So we don't know. Like, they could just say, Rico Dowdle, you're our new Ezekiel Elliott, or Ronald Jones, when you come back from your suspension, you're our new Ezekiel Elliott, and there's going to be value in those guys. So that's my whole point. Throw him on your team, late round pick, see what the usage is the first week or two, and then if he's not getting used and it's all Pollard, then just drop him. That's basically how you roll with that. Only other note here is Jake Ferguson does seem to be the clear tight end 1. We talked about the rookie and Luke Schoonmaker, but he's kind of been dealing with an injury. He's a rookie tight end. He's maybe a next year guy. It's Jake Ferguson to me, and there's value in Jake Ferguson as a guy that we've seen Dak Prescott with Jason Witten and Dalton Schultz really use the tight end a lot. So I think Jake Ferguson could be a sneaky top 12 tight end that you can get super late in drafts. So any other notes on the Cowboys?
No.
Right. Moving on to the Denver Broncos. Man, lots of Wilson rumors about him getting benched and stuff like that. They've not looked good in preseason again, kind of more of the same. Dad, are you starting to get worried about Russell Wilson and the Broncos again?
Yeah, I honestly didn't hear all of that junk, but I guess it wouldn't surprise me, then what we get Jarrett Stidham, but and it really concerns me because I have a dynasty team where he's my QB1, but yeah, kind of surprising if he's I do hear a lot of talk about him but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think anymore.
I'm nervous. Some people are saying like that that Sean Payton, his comments about Nathaniel Hackett was kind of like edging himself or giving himself an excuse as if they suck again to be like, well, he's the one that ruined it all, right? I'm just trying to fix it. It takes me more than a year. Some people are speculating that. So yeah, I was kind of convinced as well, like Sean Payton wouldn't have taken this job if he didn't get the green light to be like, hey, if I want to move on from Russell Wilson after this year if he's no good. So I'd be worried there.
It's a big financial hit, so that'll be unique if that happens. So
yeah, I would throw Jarrett Stidham on a dynasty team, a super flex, just in case. I just did in one of my leagues. So in terms of the running backs, undrafted guy Jaleel McLaughlin, who played, I believe, at Youngstown State, and I think he's the NCAA all-time leading rusher with like 8,000 yards rushing or something ridiculous. Sean Payton really likes him. He's been talking him up all preseason. He made the team as kind of the RB3 behind Perine and Javonte. Obviously, Javonte playing is awesome to see. He's coming back from the ACL, and he seems like he's going to be there week 1. So I would throw Jaleel McLaughlin on a dynasty roster. And I'm okay with Javonte and Samaje. And Judy, hamstring injury is a big one. Because hamstring injuries can kill you for a while. Tim Patrick went to IR, no KJ Hamler, Judy potentially out with a hamstring. Dad, I think you're kind of all in on Cortland Sutton now, it seems like.
Yeah, I think so. And I definitely, it's a little, the situation isn't as muddy as it was before, but so Cortland Sutton, there's a rookie there, Marvin Mims, so after that, it's kind of, don't know really.
Yeah, I like Marvin Mims as a sneaky, could have a huge impact on this team if Judy is going to miss a significant amount of time. So I kind of like that. The tight end situation is interesting. Adam Troutman is listed as the tight end 1. Sean Payton drafted him in New Orleans, obviously likes him. I've been hearing rumors as like just kind of a maybe beware on Greg Dulcich if you're going to reach for him. That I've been hearing rumors that he just kind of doesn't fit the system. He's a tweener. That the Saints and Sean Payton Sean Payton and his system, he wants his tight ends to really be able to block first and catch second. And Troutman can do both. And Greg Dulcich is not like that. So I'm kind of worried about Dulcich. Just if you're going to take him in the 12th, 13th round, that's fine. Don't reach for him at all. Like and make sure you get a backup tight end there. So, any other news on the Broncos, Dad?
No, that's yeah, that was a good analogy on the tight end situation. So we'll definitely have to watch that and see what the hell goes on in Denver. There's a lot to watch in Denver now. So so
100%. Lions, not a whole lot of news. I mean, they signed Teddy Bridgewater, I think, after we recorded. So he's their quarterback 2, which is fine. It's a good backup quarterback. Yeah, I mean, Sam Laporta's flashed and looked good. And, we talked about it. Who's the second pass catcher on this team behind St. Brown? Is it Gibbs? Is it Josh Reynolds? Is it Marvin Jones? It's not Jameson Williams for the first 6 weeks. Is it Sam Laporta? He's the guy that I'm rising on a little bit. I'm a little bit more excited. I know he's a rookie tight end, but he could hit this year. And then I thought it was interesting. They only have 2 running backs on the team because Jamar Jefferson's on the IR. I assume short-term IR. If they only have Montgomery and Gibbs, not even on the practice squad. They don't have anyone on the practice squad. So that's strange. So I assume Jamar Jefferson's only a 3-week injury, but Dad, you're the Lions guy. Anything I missed there? Anything you want to touch on that I mentioned?
Yeah, there's a couple of receivers. I don't know what their fantasy value would be. Khalif Raymond, he's just a guy, but he seems to be good for a couple of decent plays a game. Josh Reynolds has been with Jared Goff now for a number of years, going back to his Rams days. So those are the other guys. So it's Marvin Jones and Amon-Ra St. Brown, Josh Reynolds, and Khalif Raymond. So the last 2 honestly don't have much fantasy value. My God, does Marvin Jones have any fantasy value? I don't know. Maybe early. He's never been a real sexy fantasy guy, but
Well, he's had a couple really good seasons, actually.
Well, he has. If you look at his numbers, it's just not, like I said, it's not sexy. It doesn't stand out. But if you go, oh my God, he had 10 touchdowns. I think there was one year playing with Stafford. I thought he led the NFL in touchdowns. Maybe not. I know he had double-digit touchdowns. But so what does that mean? That means Gibbs and Montgomery are going to be a big part of this offense. So, and it's kind of strange they need to get a third running back, but I'm sure they're shopping for one. And Laporta, we'll see. Rookie tight ends producing right from the get-go. That usually doesn't happen, but we'll see. This guy was a early second-round draft pick, so.
Yeah, I actually think Josh Reynolds has a little more value than people think. He's had a couple stretches in Detroit when he was first traded there, where he was a top 24 guy, and then he got hurt. And then the beginning of last year, first 5 weeks, he was a top 24, top 20 guy. Then he got hurt. So I think he's interesting one if you're going to take a shot on anyone besides St. Brown there. But yeah, moving on to the Green Bay Packers. They were revealed as one of the mystery teams that was in on Jonathan Taylor. So that was interesting. I don't think it's going to happen, but not a whole lot to talk about with the Packers. I think Jordan Love's actually looked pretty good in the preseason. Jaden Reed is listed as a starter, which makes sense. Romeo Doubs, I think, to me, could be the wide receiver 1 on this team. And I've been out on Christian Watson, especially people drafting him like 3rd, 4th round. I think people are going to get burned badly on that. I think he's a good player, but we're basing that on like a 4-week stretch where he had like a 50% touchdown catch percentage. Like that's not going to happen again. To me, he's this year's Gabe Davis, and he's even going higher than Gabe Davis. Romeo Doubs has had a really good connection with Love. Has looked good in the preseason. I think he's the wide receiver 1 on this team. So And Luke Musgrave is won the tight end battle over the other rookie Tucker Kraft. So, yeah, anything I missed on the Packers? Not much has changed really with this team.
No, their offensive line is pretty good. So running back situation, we know. Wide receivers, we just got to see how Jordan Love works with those guys. And where they got a rookie tight end, two tight ends. So I wouldn't expect much out of those guys. Jaden Reed, yeah, he should be relevant. Seen him flash a little bit in the preseason. He's kind of their slot receiver. So
yeah, definitely.
Go Pack goal for all the first time. Okay, let me back up. First time since 1992 that either Rodgers or Favre's not starting. So welcome to the real world, Green Bay fans.
Unless Love is just good and they go into another 15-year stretch of a Hall of Fame quarterback. So, I mean, Texans are next. Stroud was announced as the QB1, which is, again, good to see. Throw the rookie in there, see how he does. Dameon Pierce is clearly ahead of Devin Singletary, just how they've been using him in all preseason. Like, I thought it could be possibly more of a 50-50. To me, it's kind of Dameon Pierce's backfield. And, he's kind of bumped up in my personal rankings. Their starting wide receivers are Nico Collins, Robert Woods, and Noah Brown. That's not the sexiest receiving core there. Tank Dell and John Mechie are not listed as starters. I expect that to change as the season progresses, personally. I think those two are probably better than Woods and Noah Brown at this point. So, Dad, anything on the Texans that we missed there?
No, I think you identified it all. I think Pierce. First off, their offensive line is good. They've invested in it. Their two tackles are top-notch guys. They got a guard that's really good. So what does that mean? Their running game should be pretty decent. Hopefully, the passing game with the rookie quarterback and stuff like that, and is relevant. And we'll see. Those two receivers, Tank Dell and Mechie, who are second stringers right now, but they should be up and comers. That's for sure.
Yeah, I expect them to take over, especially over Noah Brown's spot. So, Colts, a lot of news and drama with the Colts. Anthony Richardson was announced as the starter. Again, awesome to see. All the rookies are going to be starting week 1. Well, those top 3 guys at least. The Jonathan Taylor stuff, he's getting DEFCON, whatever the expression is, of just like he's going to miss the first 4 weeks, even if he's traded. By the way, a lot of people have been like asking, like, well, what if he gets traded? Is he still miss the first 4 weeks? The answer is yes. So he's out the first 4 weeks. Man, what do we do with Jonathan Taylor? Like, where do you even think about taking Jonathan Taylor at this point? 7th round, 8th round?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have to at some point. You can't just say, like...
Listen to this. Okay. So we know he's not going to play for a month. He has not played and done anything the whole preseason, the whole training camp. So even if you traded for him, here we go with players missing a month of the season, a month of the fantasy season. Do you expect Jonathan Taylor to hit the field in October for whatever team he's playing with and be this 1,800-yard back he was a couple of years ago? Hell no. It's not going to happen, So, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
The point is, though, like, at some point he becomes a value. Like, that's just the reality. Like, you're not saying I'm never drafting Jonathan Taylor, even in round 16. I'm going to draft Justin Tucker over Jonathan Taylor. Like, we're talking about where does he start to become a value? And to me, it's 7th, 8th round if you want to take a shot there. And hopefully he comes back. But I don't expect a whole lot. I'm kind of with you. But, you can't ignore the fact that he could come back in week 5 with the Colts. He wants to get paid. So, like, it's probably in his best interest to at least show that he's good this year. Even if it's a 5-6 week stretch, and then he says, I have a hamstring in quotations and then sits out the rest of the year, more of as a business decision. But, you can't ignore the fact that you could be getting a potential league winner in the 7th or 8th round, a guy that could come back and just smash for 10 weeks. So,
I just think the opposite, where I just, me as a, fantasy footballer, guys like this, I'm sorry, this year's a wash. If you would have came back about the time when Josh Jacobs did, or the trade would have happened this past Tuesday, and you would have ended up on a team, I would have considered it. But the Colts, the ownership, the owner's being a dickhead about it. So it's out of the general manager's hand. They need the guy for the rookie quarterback, So, but anyway, let's move on. We're getting too deep into the weeds on this stuff.
I thought it was funny though. They tried to trade him to Miami for like Jalen Waddle and a pick or something. It was like, yeah, you're delusional.
I think the owner is.
Yeah, he's delusional. And they did pay their kicker more than they're paying Jonathan Taylor. I don't know. It's a mess. Deion Jackson and Evan Hall, they're must rosters at this point. I mean, even Zach Moss.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to miss a couple weeks at least, but Zach Moss, all three of those guys should be rostered. We don't know how it's all going to play out. I mean, Evan Hall was kind of prototyped as a pass catcher. Deion Jackson's had a couple games where he caught like 10 passes last year or something ridiculous. So, yeah, those guys need to be rostered. They could be just like volume plays that, they're not very good necessarily, but they get enough volume. So, nothing else with the Colts there. So we'll kind of move on. Jacksonville, not a whole lot here, actually. Take Bigsby is getting a lot of hype. He is the RB2. I've been saying it since he was drafted. Like, I'm worried about ETN in terms of, like, how much is Bigsby going to take from him? Like, I think it's going to be more than people want. I really, really do. Can ETN still be good? Yes. He's going to have to be very efficient, kind of like a Tony Pollard, in my opinion, is how it's going to play out. Like those amount of touches, less than 200 carries, 40, 50 catches. He's going to have to be efficient, and he can be. But I've been saying since the draft, like I'm worried about what Tinks Bigsby is going to do to ETN. So, I don't want to take ETN where he's going to be drafted maybe a round and a half later. That's about it, Dad. I mean, anything with Jacksonville, in terms of what's changed, I know we talked about him in the Jacksonville video and what we think of him, but I don't think anything else has really changed with Evan Ingram signed a contract, so that's nice.
Ridley still seems like he's going high. He'll probably be good. He looks good, and he looks the part of a really fluid wide receiver. So I'm not drafting him in the third or fourth round. So if I could get him just a couple of rounds later, I might do that.
Which you won't be able to. Essentially.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
So I'm not getting him this year.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think people are way underrating Christian Kirk's. I can see Ridley being the leading receiver on this team, but I don't see him being that huge 1,400 yard guy, So I don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to throw for 7,000 yards and 70 touchdowns like everyone's predicting. So, but yeah, not much has changed there. The Chiefs, couple things here. You mentioned it when we were talking about the Chiefs and Lions. Sky Moore seems to be in line to be a starting receiver. He's probably the guy out of this receiving core I would target. I still like Richie James a lot, and Richie James proved to be a target hog with the Giants the last 6, 7, 8 weeks last year, and now he goes to a better team. They signed him in the offseason. Their first preseason game on their first drive, Richie James was targeted 3 times. I think Richie James is a sneaky guy to be to keep an eye on. Justin Ross, everyone loves hyping him up. I think ESPN said he's the next AJ Green, which is crazy, but he did make the team, which is nice. Kadarius Toney got hurt first practice of training camp, and they came out and said, we hope he's back for week 1. I don't know. Like, I like Tony when he plays. The fact of the matter is he needs to play. So, and then Isaiah Pacheco is back. You know, he missed a lot of time, but he is back. I still think Clyde is a sneaky late round guy that he could be the main running back on this team. I would not be surprised. So, not a whole lot's changed necessarily, but I think we're a little more clear. You know, it's going to be Sky Moore. MVS is going to start. He's going to run a bunch of routes, and he's going to be, targeted a couple times, but he's basically going to be getting cardio in running down the field. So, yeah, I don't know if there's anything that I missed that's changed with the Chiefs here.
No, not really.
Yeah. I mean, we know what the Chiefs are at this point. So, but moving on to the Las Vegas Raiders, Josh Jacobs did sign, which is good. He's back. Dad, Josh Jacobs, mid to late second round guy.
Yeah. Yes, I think so. I think I'd be okay doing that. So,
yeah, I mean, they've freaking fed this guy an insane amount of.
They worked the hell out of him.
Yeah, they worked the hell out of him, and I don't. How is that going to change? They literally did not change the running backs on this team. It's Zamir White, who was there last year. It's Brandon Bolden, who was there last year, and it's Amir Abdullah, who was there last year. All those guys were there last year, and they decided to give Josh Jacobs 340 carries and 53 catches to lead the NFL in total touches. They have no incentive to keep him healthy. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's not this amazing passing quarterback. Yeah, I think Jacobs is a smash play in that mid to late second. Like, imagine starting off with like Tyreek Hill and Josh Jacobs, like potential RB1 Josh Jacobs. So, Aiden O'Connell has looked really good. He looks like Derek Carr kind of a little bit in the uniform, at least. Wears number 4. He definitely needs to be on dynasty rosters if he's not already. He's a guy we looked at back in like March, and we kind of liked him. So, he just dynasty stash for O'Connell. So we'll kind of speed up things here. Dad, do you want to say anything else on the Raiders?
No.
Yeah. Chargers, Elijah Dotson, undrafted guy, made the team, which is cool to see. I would definitely roster him in Dynasty because this team's been looking for a team to kind of, or a guy to kind of be the backup to Eckler, and they've tried with Isaiah Spiller, Joshua Kelly, Larry Roundtree, who they released. Joshua Kelly has looked good. Isaiah Spiller had a couple of nice runs. It's probably Joshua Kelly, but Elijah Dotson is definitely a guy I would throw on dynasty rosters and just to kind of see. Josh Palmer is, I think, the wide receiver. I mentioned this as well. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Palmer is the wide receiver 3 over Quinton Johnston, at least to start the year. And then Jalen Guyton starts the year on PUP, but I think Darius Davis, the rookie out of TCU, he's kind of been explosive in the return game and these jet sweeps. He might replace Jalen Guyton. Dad, anything? What do you want to say about the Chargers, who didn't really play many other starters?
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of wish the backup running back situation was a little more clear, or I should say a little better. I thought, I'd like to see Isaiah Spiller do something, but, but anyway, it's Joshua Kelly right now. It could be Isaiah Spiller. Could be that other guy you talked about. You still gotta still look at Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, and Austin Eckler and Justin Herbert. Yeah. Those are your main fantasy guys right there.
Yep.
Hopefully they stay healthy.
Yeah, I would draft I would maybe draft Joshua Kelly in redraft, maybe if it's a little bit deeper. He's definitely a guy to keep an eye on if Eckler does get hurt. So the Rams, Stafford's wife came out and said something about he has problems connecting with the young players, which means
it's all just podcast flick shit,
Well, Yeah, but if it's true, what that means to me is Cooper Cup's going to get 200 targets.
Yeah.
Tyler Higbee is going to get a bunch of targets, and maybe Van Jefferson's a kind of a sneaky play on this team as potentially the second targeted player. Van Jefferson had a solid year in their Super Bowl year, I think it was. So he's a sneaky, maybe late round guy who could be the second target on this team. But I'm back in. If Cooper Cup's back and healthy, like I'm fine with him in PPR leagues going 101 over Jefferson, over McCaffrey. Half PPR, I'd go McCaffrey, but I'm fine with basically Cooper Cup being my wide receiver one over Jefferson. So there's just no competition there. So Rams did nothing at running back, really. I mean, they drafted Zach Evans, but Cam Akers, what do you think about Cam Akers? I think he's going in like the 5th, 6th round. Like, how are you feeling about Cam Akers, Dad?
I don't know, man. The guy just doesn't give me a warm fuzzy, and and I may be missing the boat or something like that. And I just, to me, okay, 5th, 6th round. What is that? Is that an RB2? Does that mean? Yeah, if I got somebody like Derrick Henry or Bijan Robinson or Eckler or McCaffrey or Josh Jacobs ahead of them and stuff like that, I might be okay with that. But if I went wide receiver heavy in the beginning, and this guy's my RB1, I don't think I'd feel good. But we know, looking in the ADP, after Cam Akers, it starts getting a little thin. So the guy's he's going to get carries, he's going to get touches, and hopefully he stays healthy. That's everybody's problem, but
yeah, he's interesting because he's going around a bunch of guys where I'm just like, I'm not 100% sure how to feel about a lot of them. Alexander Madison, Javonte Williams, Dalvin Cook, like these guys. He's also going around Connor and James Conner. I'm totally in on, but those other guys, I'm just like, I don't know. There are a bunch of guys where I'm just like, yeah, I'm not sure. So yeah, I mean, Cam Akers, we've seen like 2 6-week stretches where he's looked amazing, but that's it. That's where we're banking it all on. So, and this team could not be good.
That could win you a league, though. A 6-week stretch.
Yeah.
So, I mean, seriously, that could win you a league. That could, put you up over, the other guys. So,
yeah, definitely. No, you're 100% right. Got the news. Moving on to the Dolphins. Got the news as I was typing up these notes. Jeff Wilson's going to IR. Salvin Ahmed, who's their RB4, has an injury. Devin, I forget which one it is. Devin A-Chain has an injury. Right now, it's wheels up for Raheem Mostert for at least a 4-week, a 2, 3, 4-week stretch. Like, Raheem Mostert could be a smash play for these first 4 weeks. And you talked about it. A 6-week stretch can win your league. Like, how valuable is a 4-week stretch? If this is middle of the year and you find out Mostert's the starting running back for 4 weeks, you're putting in 70% of your fab because that's very, very valuable. It's a third of your fantasy season. So this team they were in trade talks with Jonathan Taylor, but even if they do trade for him, Jonathan Taylor's out the first 4 weeks as well. This team does feel like a team that's primed to pick up like a Leonard Fournette or Kareem Hunt, because this is a team trying to win. And I don't know. It seems like a team that's kind of primed to do that. Anything here with their running backs? Like, Mostert has a lot of value, though.
No, you nailed it. And if you get a month-long stretch, this guy's in the past, he's been a little fragile. If he's on the field and he's getting the ball, he looks really good. When he's injured and stuff like that, and he's not playing, you're going, oh shit, but so I mean, if you could get a month-long stretch out of this guy, that's almost a 30-year season. So that's really good. So it's something. If he's your RB2 or RB3, that's great.
Yeah. But yeah, moving on to the Minnesota. Waddle has missed a couple weeks of practice. Keep an eye on that. But yeah, Minnesota Vikings. Only news really, they signed Myles Gaskin, which I don't think is a little bit bigger of a deal than people. It's not a huge deal, but it's bigger than what people think. Myles Gaskin had a solid year, 1 year with the Dolphins, and then I think he's a little bit more talented than people give him credit for. So he could theoretically beat out Ty Chandler as the RB2 on this team. So he's a name for sure to keep an eye on, like if Madison gets hurt. And then I had it in my notes about Hockenson injury. Is it contract related? Well, Hockenson just signed a contract. So throw that out the window. Hockenson, he's going to be there. He got his money. So nothing on the Vikings really besides that Myles Gaskin thing, Dad. Anything else you want to add?
No, it's kind of funny that, that the Vikings, going back to the Dolphins, that they would let Gaskin go when they seem to have some stuff going on in their running back room. But he did, yeah. I think he was almost 1,000-yard rusher for 1 year with Miami, if I remember it right. But he was close. But so he should be semi-relevant with the Vikings. We know pretty much about the rest of their offensive players. Jefferson, Cousins, and we got a rookie wide receiver, first rounder, Addison now. So
yeah.
So that'll be interesting, to see what goes on there.
Yeah, and if you want to hear what we think about that, check out that Vikings video. Moving on to the Patriots, interesting cuts that they made. They have one quarterback on their active roster, and Mac Jones. So obviously that's not going to stand. You need a backup quarterback. They cut Bailey Zappi, which was a little shocking, but they brought him back to the practice squad. And I thought for a second, is Malik Cunningham the quarterback too now? The rookie, kind of a wide receiver quarterback hybrid out of Louisville. And then 5 minutes later, they cut Malik Willis. And I'm like, okay, well, never mind. Both of them are on the practice squad, but Mac Jones is the only active quarterback on the roster. Same interesting with the running backs. Ramondre Stevenson and Ezekiel Elliott are the only two active players on their roster at running back. So their roster is not complete yet, but I like it. I mean, Mac Jones, it's a lot of confidence, reassurance to him. And I like it for Ramondre Stevenson that there's no other running backs really on this team besides Zeke. Anything on that, Dad?
Nah, I don't know. There's just too much, too much minutia trying to figure out what's going on with New England and stuff like that. So, I mean, Ramondre Stevenson, obviously, he's going to be a big part of their offense. Look at their wide receivers and decide which one you want or something like that. But, the rest of it, who knows,
Yeah. And to note, a couple notes on those wide receivers. Demario Douglas is definitely a dynasty stash, rookie guy. Stash him. He's flashed. Tyquan Thornton, second-year guy, is going to start the year on IR, so he's getting to the point of time to start worrying because
bust.
You don't play a lot your first 2 years. There's you're just going to be nothing essentially. So. But yeah, moving on to the Saints. Again, we talked about we're getting to the point where we talked about these teams within the last couple weeks. So not a whole lot. I don't really have anything on the Saints besides Michael Thomas has looked good and he's healthy as of now. And Kendre Miller has looked decent. And Jimmy Graham made the team. So I don't know if you have anything, Dad. I don't really have anything on the Saints. Again, we talked about these teams pretty recently. So
nothing.
Which kind of
Kamara suspended 3 weeks, so we know the story.
Yep. Yeah, we'll just kind of move on there and go to the Giants. A couple things here. On their depth chart, it's listed as Isaiah Hodgins, Darius Slayton, and Paris Campbell as the top three receivers. It looks like Cole Beasley or Jamison Crowder did not make this team. Sterling Shepard did. Wan'Dale Robinson's not on the PUP, which is a little surprising and interesting because I think he's maybe their best receiver. Jalen Hyatt, the rookie, has really been looking good, and I wasn't in on him. He has looked good, we'll see what that means in the regular season. He's looked good in preseason, but that's not everything. And then it's basically been like they've just been feeding Waller in practice and games. I'm really high on Waller. I think he can be the tight end too this year. So, but yeah. Dad, any clarity on that wide receiver room? Any guys, Hodgins, Slayton, Campbell, you're kind of leaning
not
towards?
really.
I mean, if you wanted to take a shot on one of them, who would you take a shot on, I guess?
Sorry, I need to look at it because.
So it's Isaiah Hodgins, Slayton, Campbell, Wandale, Jalen Hyatt, Sterling Shepard.
I would one of the old guys, Shepard or Slayton, but I don't know which one. They're both there. I don't know who's the starter, or.
Yeah, it's hard. It's for sure hard. I mean, Saquon Barkley could be Waller and then Saquon Barkley. Like
Slayton is probably the guy I would be looking at, and or Paris Campbell, or honestly, Paris Campbell. I don't know enough about Hodges. Jalen Hyatt, is a rookie. Wandale, coming off of let's see him on the field before we get all excited.
Yeah, I would take a shot on one of these guys and just see what happens. So you can cut them at the end if they're not any good. But yeah, moving on to the Jets. We did record this when Dalvin Cook had already signed, so we don't really need to talk too much about that. Corey Davis retired, which actually I kind of thought Davis had a chance of being the wide receiver 2 on this team. Like if you're just looking at like now on their depth chart, it's obviously Garrett Wilson, and then it's Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb. Like you're telling me Corey Davis couldn't beat out one of those guys, but he retired. Maybe he's going to be cut. I don't know. So they have I'm kind of worried about that wide receiver room. Like they do have Mecole Hardman there. I've been hearing like, well, what if Devontae Adams gets traded in October to the Jets? So I don't know. That's just we can't talk about that really. But go ahead, Dad.
Yeah, it doesn't look as rosy as it used to. So what does that mean? Garrett Wilson is going to get 150 targets or more, and he's going to be like Devontae Adams in Green Bay. So
yes, that's basically what it is. Like Garrett Wilson's Devontae Adams, Allen Lazard is Allen Lazard, and Randall Cobb is Randall Cobb. Like and Mecole Hardman is MVS. When MVS was there, like that's literally what this team is.
That's right.
And then you get AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones are your Breece Hall and Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon is Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook, and then maybe Tyler Conklin, who I kind of liked when we talked about the Jets, has a Robert Tonyan year of like 12 touchdowns. So who knows? The Eagles, I have nothing on the Eagles. I mean, we talked about it. The Kenneth Gainwell stuff and DeAndre Swift, but we kind of talked about it. Dad, were you going to say something?
No, I don't know what their running back situation is. That's all I was going to say.
Yeah, we still don't have a clear. I mean, it's Swift in terms of who you need to draft first. I've been saying I think Kenneth Gainwell is sneaky because you can get him super late. But yeah, we really don't know. Like people made a big deal about Swift and Penny playing like into the second quarter of their first preseason. I think they were just learning the offense and like getting time learning the offense, which they have to do, and you want to do it in preseason, not during the season. So in live action, I think that's what that was about. Swift is appealing because the guy is just like one of the best running backs in terms of fantasy points per touch. The guy's insane. The guy had less than 150 touches last year and was like a top 15 running back in points per game, which is insane. So, take a shot on one of them, but you have to pay up for Swift. You definitely have to pay up for him. So, nothing else there. In my opinion, the Steelers, they've probably been the most impressive team in preseason. They've looked amazing. I think Kenny Pickett had 5 drives, 5 touchdowns. Deontay Johnson's making catches. George Pickens is making catches. Jaylen Warren is busting off for 60-plus yard runs. So They've looked really good. I think people are really in on him. I think it's going to boost all these guys up. Jaylen Warren's probably in like if you drafted in early August, you could get him for free. You probably have to draft him in like the 9th, 10th round now. And then George Pickens. I think it's crazy he's going in the same round as Deontay, but people love George Pickens. But anyways, that Steelers.
No, I watched him in a preseason game, week 3 or the 3rd preseason game, and they look like a machine.
Yeah.
Deep pass to Deontay. All right, couple plays later, deep pass to Pickens. Jaylen Warren comes in and busts some decent runs off. Najee was plowing between the tackles, and they looked really good. So definitely, I think a lot of so-called experts are thinking Kenny Pickett is gonna move up. From his year last year, so we'll see. Is he gonna be the next coming of Tom Brady? I doubt it. Is it gonna look like Ryan Tannehill or Matt Stafford or one of those guys? Yeah, maybe. So
Yep. And again, we talked about these teams like about a week ago, so not a whole lot has changed. San Francisco 49ers. Obviously, Lance was traded, so it's Purdy and Darnold as the quarterback 1 and 2. In Superflex leagues, I think both should probably be rostered. Definitely Purdy, but George Kittle is dealing with some kind of soft tissue injury. That's a little concerning because he's always seems to miss time with these groins and hamstrings and stuff. So yeah, I mean, he's being drafted as like a top 5 tight end, and he's going to miss some time. That's tough. He's being, I think, in the 4th round or something. And then Ronnie Bell is a wide receiver. We talked about him from on the show. I think he's a dynasty stash. So anything to add on the 49ers that has changed in the last week?
No, nothing much. So
yeah,
we just got a sleeper update, while we were talking, and coaches said they're gonna take Christian McCaffrey off the field more. So I think what that means is like Carolina misused the guy there for a few years. If the game was over or something like that in the 4th quarter, he was still out there running the ball and stuff like that. So I don't think anything's going to change. Does that mean his ADP is going to drop? Hell no. So the guy's still the man. 1, 2, 3. That's where you should take him.
Yep. Indeed. Seahawks, we already talked about the JSN was injured. That's about the only news there.
He was practicing though.
Yep. So he may be back. Yeah. But we kind of talked about that and the whole Seahawks. Again, all these guys. Buccaneers, maybe. I don't know if Baker was the QB1 when we talked, but Baker is the QB1. Sean Tucker, who's a guy that we looked at and we both really, really liked. Had a weird situation where didn't go to the combine, didn't really do a pro day. He went undrafted because of it. He had a heart condition, which is why he didn't go drafted. Teams are obviously scared about that, but the dude is fast and he's big and he's strong, and I think he's super, super intrigued. Like, I think you just look at this depth chart. I think he's better than Chase Edmonds. I think he's better than Keyshawn Vaughn, and possibly Rachaad White. Rachaad White's going to get the first crack at it, but if Rachaad White's not good, like, just keep an eye. No Sean Tucker's name. Dynasty, he should be on rosters. Redraft, he could be a waiver wire pickup in week 5. So keep an eye on his name. And then Trey Palmer, another rookie, is going to be the wide receiver 3 because Russell Gage got hurt. So another guy, like, he's going to get his chance at least. He needs to be on dynasty rosters. I don't think for redraft he's going to be much, but move on, Dad, to yeah, I mean, Titans, the only news that came up in the last, again, week or so is Kyle Phillips is going to the IR, one of their wide receivers, slot guy. I think Treylon Burks is going to be back and healthy, so that kind of helps them. but nothing about the Titans. I mean, Will Levis is the QB3. That's not a big deal right now. You weren't gonna start him or draft him this year anyways. So, yeah. And then I have nothing on the Commanders that's changed. So, anything on those last few teams, Dad? Do you want to mention?
No, not really.
Right.
Watch out for the Commanders. I think they could be good.
Yeah, they got two good. We'll see about McLaurin, but two good receivers. So, yeah, that's it. Obviously, a little bit longer video, but we had to go through all 32 teams, especially those early ones. I think most of you are drafting this week, so good luck with your drafts. Hopefully, you nail it this weekend. I think a lot of you are drafting, is what I meant to say. We're here all season. We're going to be doing kind of like a recap of the week videos, and then preview videos, and then we'll do shorts, probably like waiver wire stuff. We'll just make into YouTube shorts because you don't need to hear us talk about for an hour about waiver wire guys when you can get that information in a minute. We'll be back with some dynasty stuff. We'll look at some college players, all that stuff. So we are here for you, Dad. Dad, give me your Super Bowl match. I'm putting you on the spot, but give me your Super Bowl matchup.
Oh my God! Somebody's going to come out of the weeds. I mean, let's face it. There's 7 playoff teams in each conference, so of course, I want to say the Lions. I don't want to just say the Chiefs and the Eagles. How about the Chargers Super Bowl?
Let's do it. I hope so. I'm going to say Bills, Eagles, and then Josh Allen gets his Bills, Eagles. Josh Allen gets his first, and the Bills get their first Super Bowl victory because I like the Bills and Josh Allen, and I think their fans deserve a Super Bowl victory. Again, we're here all year long. We're going to start a Discord here soon, which is, I'll have to explain that to you, Dad, but we'll set that up soon to where you can basically get like advice from us. We can, if we're online, we'll send you advice and stuff like that. So we'll set that up soon. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys